back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge. Joining me today, we are going to be talking horror with actor-producer Mark Mora. Mark, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Just working on some stuff, actually. I don't know if you can see in the background my 3D printers are going. I'm doing some props for a Wonder Woman commercial.
Hey, congratulations, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's something. It's a little bit of work during all this COVID madness.
Yeah, man, I get it. So while we're talking about that, how's everything been with you through the COVID and the quarantine? You holding up okay?
Well, I mean, I've gotten zero work as far as acting goes this year, so that's a bummer. My agent's being really cool about it, though, so hanging in there. Yeah, besides that, I mean, I'm not sick, so God bless. No one in my family, everyone I care about is okay. Yeah.
Right. And that's super important, man. I lost my mom last year, and my wife is a respiratory therapist. So she deals with COVID every day. So I know how dangerous and scary it really is. So grateful that you haven't had to experience that firsthand. That's such a blessing. So I couldn't be happier for you. For those of you that don't know, Mark has done work on Into the Night, Stephen King short, as well as The Devil's Call. He was a producer on The Norjack, among plenty of other things. So working on a Stephen King short, I mean, for people like us that are in the horror world, that had to be amazing, just knowing that you yourself are part of the Stephen King universe.
Right. You know, that was the really cool thing about it is I also got to act in it. I played Richie Macia. If you know the story, it's based on One for the Road. It's a short story by Stephen King. So just it was awesome experience just to be able to act in the Stephen King project and to help make it come to life. The first book I read by Stephen King was It, which, you know.
Sure.
Yeah. And I was young, man. I mean, I got into horror pretty early. I was like 5 or so when I picked up the book. Had a dictionary right next to me so I could understand it. You know? But yeah, I love Stephen King's work, and it was a blast. He got to see it. You know, he sees all these projects that he signs off on. He has to sign off on. So he got to see it. So I know he got to see me act. So that's a really cool thing. And then the director recently submitted to the Academy Awards. I think that's a little overzealous, but you know.
Right. But still, man, like I said, when people talk about the annals of Stephen King, you're in that world.
Yeah.
You know, forever. That's something that can't be taken away from you. And now something I wanted to bring up, little birdie told me, and I don't know if this is true or not, but you had an uncredited fan scene in the movie Moneyball. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. I was it was an open call, so it wasn't really hard. I used to live in Oakland, and they just had an open call, like, come with your ace gear and be in the film. So yeah.
I am a gigantic baseball fan. I'm a Tigers guy, live in Michigan, obviously. But Moneyball is one of my favorite baseball movies of all time. I adore that movie. I love the line, I hate losing, or I hate losing more than I like to win. You know, I love that line. I love that movie. I like baseball almost as much as I like horror. So hearing that you've been a part of both those worlds, you're cemented forever a legacy in my eyes. You're in the Stephen King universe. You're in Moneyball. You're good people to me, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah.
But we are here today to talk about the first horror movie that you ever watched. What got you really started on this kick? And the first horror movie you ever watched was
Child's Play. It's the first thing I can remember. I actually sat down and really, really thought hard. I'm like, I watched Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I remember that from when one of my earliest memories too. But it was Child's Play. My babysitter, when I was like 3 or something, used to put it on. I'm not kidding, because I used to love the fucking doll. Pardon my language.
No, you're fine, dude.
Yeah. Child's Play 3 actually is my favorite of the entire franchise.
Me too. I just did an interview with another buddy of mine, and his first was Child's Play 3, and we had the conversation about how Child's Play 3 is right in the middle of absolute terrifying and the best one-liners. Yeah. And I used to walk around all the time going, presto, you're dead. And don't fuck with the Chuck, you know. So I'm so appreciative that you like that film, because I have so many people tell me that Child's Play 3 is the worst in the series. I'm like, dude, have you seen Seed?
I don't even understand that. Like the carnival, the ending where he gets his face slashed and you can see all the
the third act alone is amazing, and you got the best characters. The douchey general Whitehurst that literally jumps on a grenade for his friends. Dude, love it. Love the film. Such a great movie. But I do want to talk about Child's Play 1 for a little bit, since that was your first. Trust me, there'll be plenty of Child's Play 3 brought up throughout this, because that was actually one of my questions, which was your favorite in the franchise. But
Okay.
I'm so happy you said
Jump
3,
yourself.
man. No, man, it's awesome. I'm glad it came out, genuinely. That was so cool. Organic. I love that. So when you think about Child's Play, obviously the doll, but besides Chucky himself, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
Voodoo. Yeah.
Good answer. That's honestly, I think the scariest scene from Child's Play 1 is when Chucky goes to, yes, and he's breaking the doll. Yes, dude, that's so fucking terrifying. Because when you're a kid, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but did you ever see the movie Tales from the Hood?
Yeah.
Dude, when he's breaking the monster with the paper, that's the same thing it reminds me of. And shit like that scared me so bad when I was a kid.
Yeah, because you can protect yourself from the little dog coming at you with a knife. But what the hell are you gonna do if he just starts going?
On a doll.
They're lucky that he preferred the in your face knife style, because really he could have just.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, because you're right, because he even talks about that in the movie, how he doesn't like to use a gun. He likes to be up, he likes to feel the kill. So while we're talking about kills, let's roll right into that. Which kill in the movie affected you the most? What's your favorite kill from the movie?
Ooh. I guess the very first kill we see, man, because it was when you realize this little dude's up to no good. Just throws the lady out the window.
Yes, dude. Yeah. See, and it's funny because for people don't remember this that have seen the movie so many times, but the first time we've seen this movie, when you're first watching it, you don't know if the doll is bad or if it's Andy. Just, and Andy's the evil one using the doll.
They kind of,
so, and you get that scene and you don't know. You still don't really see the doll. You just see the hammer hit her in the head and her go out the window. So at this point, you're still like, fuck, is this Andy or is this the doll? Yeah. So.
And the way it's shot, too, like when they go to him and he's denying it, he looks a little crazy. They make him seem a little crazy.
Yeah. Yes, he absolutely does. It's so awesome. So we talked about the kill. Which scene do you think affected you the most with this movie? Which one really stuck with you more than anything else?
Oh, man. When he's supposed to be dead, he's charred up and his head's cut off and he comes back. He's like, kill them, fighting through his body. That was freaky, man. I'm like, what does it take to stop this guy?
Yes. Yeah. See, and that's another thing. People are like, oh, it's a doll, just kill it. But when you watch the original Child's Play, they try.
Yeah.
They shoot it. They catch him on fire. They stab him. And he just keeps, and he just keeps coming back. Mm-hmm. And I've always said, if it wasn't for Seed of Chucky, Child's Play would be my favorite horror movie franchise of all time. I will never bash art. You'll never hear me say something sucks, or that won't come out of my mouth. But Seed of Chucky is not for me. I'm not a fan of that film. However, I think Child's Play is such a fantastic franchise from front to finish. Right now, I was going to go into what's your favorite film in the franchise. We know that's 3. But why do you think 3 stuck with you more than any of the other ones?
I think it mostly because I was a little older, so I got to appreciate it more than the previous ones. And I was around the same age as Andy going into, actually, I think I was still a little younger, but closer, so I related a little bit more.
Right. And now that we're adults, like there's things that, here's a perfect example. There's a scene where the girls are putting makeup on Chucky and then they kiss him. And he's like, I gotta get out of this body. And when I was a kid, I thought it was because they put makeup on him and he was embarrassed. But then I got older and realized, they were, that's why he's got to get out of that body, and it's just, Chucky in that movie really did go over the top with the comedy, the one-liners, but he was still a badass, like that's what I love about Child's Play 3.
I would say he even has the higher kill count in Child's Play 3 than the other films.
Oh man, it has some of the worst kills too, like the guy in the garbage truck. Like that's such a gnarly kill, man.
The moment he started calling, help me, I was like, dude, don't
go in there, man.
Like the
Which is funny because normally you're like, dude, don't go in there. But then I think about it, I'm a 34-year-old man now. And if I thought I heard a little kid trapped in a dumpster, I would probably have gone in too, being a father of 3 and a 34-year-old man. I'm not going to let a kid get hurt, but then you watch it start closing and you see his hand come up and you're just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
And even the throat slit of the barber and the guys were getting shot out in the battlefield. Like it is
And I was,
bloody and
you know,
awesome.
because when the barber got killed, I was happy. I know
Yeah,
it's
he's a
sauce,
dick.
but he was a dick. Yeah, I was like, good riddance, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Anybody that fucked with Whitehurst, I was like, man, stop fucking with that guy. He's a good
Mhm.
kid, man. Leave him alone. So now I got to ask you this. Me and you may be on completely different ends of the spectrum here because most people don't agree with me. But what are your opinion on the Child's Play remake?
I think I'm on the same spectrum as you. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yes, so did I.
It's different, and you know it had to be different because I don't know you know this, but the guys behind the original Child's Play, they're still going. They're
Yeah,
gonna make a TV show. They released several movies that were not that great, but they released several movies. I've watched them all because you know had to, but so it had to be different. It couldn't be the same story because the previous one is still going.
right.
And with that being said, what they did with it, I really enjoyed. The whole time I was watching it, I was like, oh man, because Chucky in that one is like a clean slate. He's like the child. And these little monsters molded him into what he became. It wasn't really his
Watching
fault.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, like
Yeah.
total. You're right. That movie is a total call on parenting. You know, because he, in his mind and in his heart, he thinks he's doing the right things by Andy. You
Yep.
know, he's seen the cat hurt Andy, so he's trying to get rid of the cat. He sees how the stepdad is hurting Andy, so he wants to get rid of the stepdad. And he
It's just
watches
that the
Texas
force
Chainsaw
and
2.
happiness. Yeah.
Yes, because it sees, yes, exactly. And another thing I love about this movie is for the first two acts, you could genuinely make the argument that Chucky's a good guy.
Yep.
You know, and no pun intended, because in that movie, he's a buddy, not a good guy. But you could really legit make that argument that he's a kid trying to protect his parent. So I'm with you. You couldn't do the Charles Lee Ray thing again. Nobody can be Charles Lee Ray again. So rather than trying to do all that, let's go a completely different route. And people bitch about that. Listen, Texas Chainsaw Massacre has had like 7 timelines. Halloween's had like 4 timelines. They were brother and sister. They weren't brother and sister. You know what? It's good
Yeah.
to have this
She
one
had
start
a
off with a
kid.
clean slate.
Now she has a different kid. Like, what was
Yeah,
her
she
name?
had a
That one
son. Now she
actor.
has a daughter. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm totally open to the idea of 2 Chucky universes going at the same time. That
Mhm.
to me is awesome. Because I hope that they continue the Buddy one. Because I would love to see, like, at the end when you see the Buddy Bear, like, I'd love to see, you know, Chucky possess a Buddy Bear, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and it's just it was really cool too because it illustrates the dangers of AI, which people don't really think about. But I mean, there's a lot of danger there.
Yes.
And that's
Especially
really
nowadays, AI has all your information all the time.
mhm.
So we talked about Child's Play. That was your first horror movie. We talked about Child's Play 3. That was your favorite in the franchise. We talked about the remake because I wanted to know your opinion. Now I'm going to go scream on you. What's your favorite scary movie? What's your favorite horror movie of all time?
Ah, tough, man, really tough. I mean, I'm a big fan of a lot. Bram Stoker's Dracula is freaking awesome. 28
Good.
Days Later, I love that film. It's not truly a zombie film, but it helped like put some life into that genre.
One thing I want to bring up, and I brought this up a couple times on the podcast, but I got to keep bringing it up for the people that have not seen 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later, to me, out of all the zombie movies, has the most heartbreaking scene. A guy has survived everything. He survived zombie attacks. He survived the bad little camp that they went to. And then he gets it by a fucking blood drop in the eye when he's looking up. Like, that to me is so heartbreaking. You make it through the most demonic and evil of things that can possibly happen, and you get done in by a blood drop falling into your eye. It's genius. It's heartbreaking. I love 28 Days Later. It's such a fantastic
It goes
film.
that way sometimes. Movie has one of the best moments in a horror film for me. It's when the main character goes fucking psycho, trying to like get his people back, and he's so bloody and gored up and looks like a fucking zombie thing, and then the girl's like, and stops right
Yeah.
then. I'm like, yeah, if I was her, I would have chopped him up too. And earlier on, we saw her chop someone without hesitating.
Right.
That's what she cared about. But this time she hesitated, and thank God she did, because he was normal. But
Right.
that was such an intense scene, and the music in that movie is great.
And what I love about that scene you're talking about is it kind of plays on, she knows by his eyes that he's still there. He's
Mhm.
not, just by his eyes. It shows the humanist in all of us, that humanism of I can look in your eyes and I know that you're not dead. You're still with me. And even in her rage, she sees it. You know, beautiful moment, man. Beautiful moment. So I always end these with the same thing. We go back to Child's Play 1. We end it with a skull count. 0 being the worst, 5 being the best. What's your ranking of the original Child's Play?
Oh, 9.
Going above, huh?
Yeah.
And to me, like I said, to me personally, and I know I'm older and it's weird to say it, Scream is my favorite horror franchise. I think it rejuvenated the genre. I think Wes Craven did a brilliant thing when he brought back the slasher genre. If I could exclude Seed of Chucky, it would surpass Scream. But Scream to me is perfect. I'm so excited for Scream 5. But man, to sit here and talk to you about the Child's Play franchise has been so fun.
Did you watch the Scream TV show?
I did ish. I watched the first little bit of it, and then I just fell off. I burned out. I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah. Okay. I enjoyed it. It wasn't the best thing in the planet, but it gave me my Scream fix because they haven't done anything in a while.
See, and that's my thing. I didn't hate it, but it just didn't grab me at the same time, But there's a lot of people I talked to that hated Scream 4, and I'm like, dude, Scream 4 is fantastic. That movie was great.
It's some people like you can't please because they expect the same thing, and then when they don't give them if they give them the same thing, they don't like it. But if they go too far away from the original, they don't like it.
Right. And see, I'm like you. I'm one of those people. I don't think horror remakes are inherently bad. No. I think you can make a good horror reboot or a horror remake. And one of the best lines in Scream 4 is when she's talking to her cousin or her niece. I can't remember exactly. But she tells her, she said, you forgot the #1 rule about a reboot. You don't fuck with the original. And that to me was just, that's so great. And I'm also one of those people. If Scream 2 had a different third act, I think it's the best one in the franchise. From the point where Sidney walks over him in the car and doesn't take his mask off, and when they're in the theater and she's fighting Billy's mom and she's dropping rocks on him, like it's almost like Three Stooges level craziness, but before that, I think it's such a great movie. It hooks you. It's fantastic. It has a great twist to it. It just got a little crazy to me in the third act. I know, man. That's the word. Like, I love Randy. Like, one of my favorite things in Scream 1 is when he's going on his little rant in the video store. And he's like, everybody's a suspect. I love that shit, man. It's so great. I think I'm going to watch some Scream tonight, man. I think talking about it totally rejuvenated it.
I got to talk about that house poster in the back. That's another one of the films I loved when I was a kid.
Dude, that was my first horror movie. That is my first, and that's my favorite horror movie. Nice. When I was young, my family owned a video store. It's called Downtown Video in Adrian, Michigan. And my grandma brought this movie home to me because she was tired of watching Ghostbusters. So to try to break me from Ghostbusters, she fucking picked House. And we watched it all. We would play House. And I would tell my grandma, I'd be like, Grandma, we'd walk over to her closet. I'd be like, don't open till exactly 12 o'clock. And then we'd open the closet and act like there was a monster in there. But dude, so much respect and love to you for even knowing this film. Like, that makes me feel so good because I come from a really small town, and every time I talk about House, no one knows what I'm talking about, dude. So much love and respect to you for knowing the film.
It's in the same vein as Scream to me. It has the same amount of campy humor and
yeah,
no, it's a great film. And the bad guy, the skull dude, kind of looked like
Big Ben.
Yeah, looked like Rita Repulsa's brother. If you ever watch Power Rangers, that thing was creepy, man.
Yeah, he was. And the whole twist of the kid was in the mirror. Like, that was the first movie I could really remember that I'm like, oh, the kid was in the house. I would have never seen that come in. That was awesome, man. But Mark Moore, make sure you guys are checking him out on social media. I got all his links down here in the description. I expect big things for you, man. You're such a nice guy. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to me. Like I said, guys, make sure you're checking him out. Mark, don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, remember, please stay what you are. Keep talking horror, and we'll see you guys soon.